Tonight, imposter. Ben Smith, the editor-in-chief of Semaphore, is posting this tweet confirming a new twist, he writes, in the case of an email imposter posing as former New York Mayor Bill de Blasio. Reporters at Semaphore saying they reached out to a Gmail address tied to the hoax and got this reply: "You are correct. It was me, the real Bill de Blasio." Well, that email, according to Semaphore, is the same email address that the Times of London used when it mistakenly published and eventually deleted an interview with the fake de Blasio, who, it was a pretty significant thing because it was this whole thing with the Times of London where he distanced himself from Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic socialist who's favored to win the mayoral election. And, endorsements of prior mayors matter a lot. So de Blasio had been behind Mamdani. The Times of London, one of the UK's oldest and most respected newspapers, was duped, quoting a fake Bill de Blasio saying Mamdani's math doesn't add up when it comes to paying for the free programs he's promising. The Times of London, in a statement, apologized, saying the Times has apologized to Bill de Blasio and removed the article immediately after discovering our reporter had been misled by an individual falsely claiming to be the New York mayor. Out front now, former New York Mayor Bill de Blasio. Bill, look, I appreciate your time on this. And obviously, when you think about this or anyone applies this to their own lives or what could happen, it's pretty terrifying.
It is.
To think that something like this could happen. But you are, on your phone, I suppose, and all of a sudden you see this story pop up saying that you were basically slamming Zohran Mamdani, who you had supported. What was your reaction when you saw it?
Who I do support. I mean, this is what's so weird. I have people still reaching out to me saying, "Oh, I see you're changing your mind." I'm like, no, I never did. It literally was a surreal feeling, Erin. I'm looking at a headline. I'm looking at a quote. A newspaper I never spoke to. A journalist I never contacted.
By the way, a real, legitimate, credible newspaper. Yeah.
And a journalist I literally never heard of. Mm-hmm. And here's this article claiming I was saying all these bad things about Mamdani. It's literally everything they said was the opposite of what I believe. I believe Mamdani has an absolutely necessary vision for New York City, and I believe it's attainable, just like the things I did as mayor when we did Pre-K for All. They said it could never be done. I think he can do fast, free buses, for example. I think he can do rent-frees if he chooses to. Mm-hmm. These are very viable visions. So what was so strange, to talk about, it felt like the ultimate in disempowerment. Like, here's my picture, here's my quote that wasn't me, and it's being sent all over.
Right. I mean, you were taken, your voice was taken away from you.
100%. And journalists were reaching out saying, "Oh my God, what happened? Did you change your mind?" And I'm like,
so do you have any idea how this happened?
Okay, so the journalist called me eventually. I tweeted, I said, "This is a falsehood. The Times of London should take it down immediately." About an hour later, the journalist calls, and he's very sheepish.
Right.
He's like, "I have to apologize. We made a mistake." And he admits somehow emailing with the wrong person. But here's what I don't get. Was there no effort to confirm identity? Did they not want to see the person's face, do a Zoom, do a FaceTime, do something? Did editors say, "Hey, it's kind of strange, this guy would change his mind a week before the election"? Something's missing here that I don't fully get.
Who's pretending to be you?
Some person, I have no idea who they are, apparently just took a domain or took, an email address that sounded like one of mine. But imagine this, a reporter, a seemingly serious reporter, has a long dialogue and prints it without checking at all if it's the real person. All email.
So have you talked to Mamdani about it?
I reached out to his team. They said, "Yes, we understand" immediately. They told him everyone's fine. But I think this begs a bigger question, because think about deepfakes with AI.
Yeah.
Vocal, audio, visual, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. What's going to be the standard going forward? If this is one of the most renowned newspapers in the world, one of the oldest in the world, and they could literally, in a major issue a week before an election, print an abject falsehood with no verification, where are we going? And it begs the question, one, that media outlets are going to have to hold higher standards because it's going to be harder to verify, but two, journalists, and this was fascinating, Erin, some journalists immediately went with it, New York journalists who knew me. Others reached out. They would not talk about it until they confirmed it directly with me.
Right.
And that's something I think journalists are going to unfortunately have to do a lot more of.
Well, I mean, in this world of AI, we're going to be talking a lot more about that in a few moments. The mayoral race, Bill Ackman obviously has a very different view on this race than you do, billionaire investor. But he has said that that this is really a test for, this is a nationwide race because this is the future of the Democratic Party. And he may be right about that. The former New York City mayor and billionaire Michael Bloomberg, also not on your side on this. Last minute money just threw in $1.5 million into a super PAC supporting Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York. Polls are tightening. New York Times shows them tightening. Quinnipiac has Cuomo gaining with Republicans. Who knows? I don't know what to believe with polls anymore, but do you think this race is still open?
It may be tightening, Erin, but here's what I'd say. Donald Trump has gone out of his way to say he wants to stop Zohran Mamdani, and he's basically saying he'd like to see Cuomo elected. Billionaires, Bloomberg, Ackman, so many, are going out overtly and saying we need to stop Mamdani. You know what that says to working class New Yorkers? Do you know what that says to everyday
Although
New Yorkers?
Bloomberg was a very effective mayor of New York.
He was a mixed bag. He had some good policies and some real mistakes, like stop and frisk. But the bottom line is New York City voters, working class people, middle class people, they don't want to take orders from billionaires. They don't want to take orders from Donald Trump. So to the extent that Andrew Cuomo has anything going on, at the same time, he's wrapping himself in all these forces that New Yorkers actually very much oppose. And Mamdani has been out in the streets. He's been out in the neighborhoods talking about affordability. This is the lesson to the Democratic Party. Erin, if there's one big lesson in this campaign that could truly be national, Democrats should talk about affordability and affordability only. No social issues, no identity politics, affordability. That's how we win in 2026 and 28.
All right. Thank you very much, Bill de Blasio. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
This is the real me, by the way.
This is, I mean,
like,
I don't know. I don't know these days.
I'll show you
with
IDs.
this,